Hello Gainers, I'm Ralphie and welcome to my little channel on YouTube called Fit of Philosophy. And on this channel I have a running commentary over hundreds of short videos on my thoughts, overview, attitude, opinion, observations and experiences of life. And basically I'm sharing them with you because that is one of the most useful and vital purposes of the internet. Whereas literally a generation ago we were utterly dependent on legacy media and the propaganda spewing from the authorities. That is not the case now. And although it may seem a very negative world in which we live, there are in fact many good things happening and continuing to happen, because those who perpetuate evil are simply becoming more visible. And once they become visible, they are less empowered by this very fact. It's a little bit like the Wizard of Oz, where the Grand Wizard in the Emerald City is no more than an engineer and a little gatekeeper behind a curtain, a flimsy curtain, pulling the levers, pushing the buttons, and making things happen which create illusions and misdirections. And this applies to us all. Now, I'm not here in this channel to judge it. This channel's more about observing it. It's more about just having an overview and encouraging you to do what I've been doing for many years and thinking about it objectively and from a slightly greater distance so as to get a better perspective. Because particularly I notice in young people, there's often a state of confusion followed by the question why. Don't get me wrong, why is an invaluable question which we all have to ask most of the time, because it's only with the prefixed why and the question mark that we set up a situation for examination and thought, which once we've concluded our little exercise may allow us to see things slightly differently, if not dramatically differently than we saw them before. And it's without doubt, particularly when we're young, we're far more indoctrinated, for good and for bad, than we would ever anticipate and believe. And this is simply the naivety of the youthful experience. But as we get older, particularly in moments of silence, reflection and objectivity, separating ourselves from the crowd and overviewing the human condition, we start to see things slightly different. And I was having a conversation recently with an academic, someone who has been very successful in her career for many decades as a psychologist. And we were just discussing the human condition to a certain extent as part of a wider conversation. And we both agreed that one of the great skills of observation is to do so without judgment, because judgment can actually cloud the quality of our view. And the more closely and objectively we view things, then we are in a position to make our own moral and personal judgments once we have examined the full situation. I'll give you a good working example of this. Find yourself some space. Get your pencil, get your paper. Always really useful to start with, because the physical process of writing helps to physicalize the mental thoughts that we are having. And feel free to use your imagination, because it was the great scientist Albert Einstein, a wonderfully creative human who said that imagination is one of the finest and underrated skills of humanity. And he's absolutely right. So use your imagination and look at humans and draw back from the planet a little bit. So go out into the outer atmosphere, but not too far. And just use your imagination to think of this planet of a single species called humans amongst many thousands of other allegedly less evolved species. And how much this species self-harms. And I'm not just talking about the wars, which are perpetuated for the power struggles and for money, and for certain belief patterns. I'm talking about the other greater harm of the species to itself, when greedy people will exploit others around them for their own profit, however they choose to define that profit. And they use the people, manipulate people, lie to people, suppress people. And yet, if there was more mutual cooperation and engagement amongst all the different parts of the humanoid collective, the species would without doubt be interplanetary by now, and having a far greater view of the universe, of the infinite space, of reality, and as such, of themselves. It is one of the greatest skills of any species is to examine itself unsentimentally without necessarily being critical or complimentary. We should examine ourselves, but to examine ourselves better, we need to examine the world and the people within it. All the people, everybody bustling about on one planet, as far as we're aware, one planet, and yet showing such enormous capacity for self-damage, even as the capacity for self-enlightenment looms even stronger. Well, that's my thoughts. I hope you enjoy my commentary. If you do, click like, subscribe, all that lovely stuff, and leave a comment if you wish, and I'll see you soon, gainers. Bye-bye.